Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Real Deal with Sean Matthews. That's me. Today we have another special guest with us, and he's another man. Oh, I think my podcasts are actually men and women now, but of course I only get the best of the best on my podcasts. And today I have a special guest. His name is Adrian Hanks, and he is a holistic health and well-being expert with over 20 years experience working as a counselor and a psychotherapist, with advanced diploma leading edge coach facilitators and training, and is a trainer. He focuses on helping people to bring more passion, purpose, and joy into their lives so they can live life to the fullest. This is Adrian's passion, and this comes across in ways in which he connects and works with people and lives his own life, which is absolutely amazing, Adrian, because as you know, I'm also a counselor, but I absolutely love the fact that you go through passion, purpose, and joy. And it's so good to have you on today.
It's wonderful to be here, Sean. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely love talking to like-minded business owners and people from all around the world. And today, I'm in the Gold Coast, and Adrian, where are you located on the Gold Coast?
I'm in Broadbeach,
You're
just meters from the ocean.
Yes, amazing. And you are not originally from the Gold Coast. Where originally are you from?
I'm actually not originally from Australia. I'm originally from the UK, and I've been in Australia now for 34 years. So more than half my life I've been in Australia.
Fantastic. Yes, absolutely love it. It's international, which is fantastic. We meet people from all around the world. And today we really want to just get right into it and talk about what your passion, purpose, and joy is, and why you started what you started in the beginning, why you do what you do.
Yeah, great question, and probably lots of different threads of how that began. And probably, Sean, going all the way back to my childhood in the UK. Had a pretty okay childhood living in the country in the Cotswolds in United Kingdom. Childhood got a bit troubled with parents and separation and all those things that go through with divorced parents. And around about my early teens, started getting into some wild culture of punk rock, into the drug culture, the alcohol culture, very much into that English working class alcohol, drugs space.
Yeah.
But what happened to me in that space too is I started to expand my mind and go down the rabbit hole in terms of my own journey, of my own way of finding my way in the world, politically, socially, and really getting an idea of what did I want in the world. And at the ripe age of 19, I left the UK and went traveling around Europe. And that was a whole new world for me. I ended up in West Berlin and then traveled over to the Eastern Blocs and started to really expand my vision of the world and my mind, and realized that I couldn't go back into that small community again, back in where I've been raised as a young man and a teenager. And I wanted to expand my horizons. And I did. And at the age of 24, then I met my first wife and ended up in Australia. I went from Berlin to Tasmania, which was quite a culture shock.
Yes, it would have been.
It was sort of like going back 200 years, but anyway, that's a whole other story.
That's definitely another story, yeah.
Yeah, and that was, I say, 34 years ago, and my first child was born soon after that. And then subsequently, other children came along, and I had 4 children of my own, and then I've taken on 2 step children. We don't really do the step thing, but taken on 2 other children, and have a blended family now of 6 children, and have 4 granddaughters as well. So.
Oh wow! My gosh, Adrian, you don't look at that. You don't look that old to have grandchildren. I'll tell you that.
Well, it's because I have purpose, passion, and joy in my life, and this is essentially of why I do what I do. Because I know when I'm in my purpose, when I'm in my passion, when I'm in my joy, it's the best defense health-wise. One, to stop being sick physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, because it builds up the natural immune system in the body. Because when we have that energy of purpose, passion, and joy, it acts as a defense mechanism from the physical body, the emotions, the mental, the spiritual. So I'm a great believer that when people bring purpose, passion, and joy into their life, they set up this wall of defense internally and externally, and have hopefully some more youthful looks and a better physical body, a better mindset. Just to share that, I'm 58 this year, and I put that down. I put my good looks down to my to my focus on my health and well-being. I don't do alcohol. I'm on a really good strict organic diet. I try not to put too much junk into my body. I do my meditations every day. I do my swimming in the ocean, do my runs, I do my gym, do my yoga. I do whatever I can to keep myself in this place of purpose, passion, and joy. And part of my purpose for myself is to stay fit and healthy.
It's amazing. It's amazing purpose. It's just absolutely amazing purpose to just stay focused on yourself, really, isn't it? To become healthy and energetic, just the way you live your life, which is fantastic.
Look, I think health and well-being is the greatest asset we have, and the greatest asset to invest in is the health and well-being. So I do what I can. Even just yesterday, I was sharing, I twinged my back a few days ago, and it wasn't so good. And I thought, right, what can I do? So yesterday, I booked into my Chinese massage therapist, and so I had what I call the rolling pin treatment. She got right in there, and I slept all night long. I woke up this morning, and I'm down to probably about a 10% pain threshold rather than a 90, because I chose to do something with it, the thing I was dealing with. And I know for a lot of people, they'll keep putting it under the carpet, until it gets to the crisis point. So my take in life is always do prevention before we get to crisis, as much as possible. I mean, I have crises in my life too.
Yes.
They do arise. But the more we can prevent the crisis by doing the good health and well-being, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and all other aspects, for me, that's the key. And it's a daily practice. It's a daily practice of, what am I eating? What am I drinking? How am I communicating? What am I taking on with my mental capacity, my spiritual capacities, and trying my best to stay in alignment with my values and my focus every day. So that's why I suppose that's why I love doing what I love doing. That is why I love to share that with others, because it saddens me to see people in ill health when I know there's a choice to do other things. And usually it comes down to a couple of things, which you probably know because you're a therapist too. Is people either get caught up in the fear or the doubt or the lack of self-love or self-esteem. But there's another one that I bring in, and it's just sheer laziness for some people. They just get really lazy about looking at themselves. And I say that, with a bit of an edge, because people don't like to hear that. But there's a lot of truth in that. Because if we just put in a bit more effort, it's amazing how quickly the body can change and the mind can change and the emotions can change. And behind the laziness, there's obviously stories of blockages and fears and those things, but there is an element of laziness or around that space as well. And I like to challenge my clients on their laziness.
That's actually a good point. I was going to ask you another question, but I'm going to go to that laziness point because it could bring up some reactions with the listeners or the people that are watching. But if they don't know about it, and my podcast here is all about real conversations, and the right people are going to listen to this and say, oh, shoot, I really am the lazy one. Maybe I should really get my health back in check. Because what happens, right, when we're lazy, as you said, if you're lazy and you don't want to take care of your health, you're going to get sick and ill, and you won't be able to do your passion and purpose as you are doing now. So it's fantastic what you do. So what do you do around laziness with your clients?
So the first thing is identify that. I just simply ask them, is it laziness that stops you? And often they'll say, well, actually, I am a bit lazy in this area of my life, or a bit in this area of my life, and I could do better. So then we look at what the blockage is that's causing the laziness, and usually it's fear, doubt, lack of self-esteem, lack of self-love, generally key things. But there is an element of laziness in that, and usually it's either in the body laziness, and there's lots of medical conditions, supposedly that keep people in that laziness, fatigue syndrome and all those different things. And even in the fatigue syndrome that people have, and it's very common, if you go to the doctor or to a naturopath, quite often the diagnosis is it's a fatigue syndrome of some type, whether it's adrenal or something, or in the blood. Well, part of
Chronic
that
fatigue, is that what you're talking about? Chronic fatigue?
Yeah. And chronic fatigue often links back to a laziness in not putting the right food in your body, not doing the right shopping, laziness of not getting the right sleep, the laziness of not turning the TV off at night so you can get a good night's sleep. So I use that laziness as a label, as a little bit of a trigger, because I find when people have been stuck in habit for so long, sometimes they need a bit of an emotional trigger to wake them up. I use it a little bit cautiously, but not too cautiously, because oftentimes if we don't trigger people to move out of old paradigms, out of old stories and habits, nothing changes.
Yes.
So I'm quite okay with challenging and triggering clients in that space to get them moving. Well, I think sometimes a little bit of electric shock is what is actually needed to get them going.
Yeah, you need a little bit of motivation as well, right? Because people will just keep going with their laziness if somebody doesn't challenge them. You say you're triggering them, but a lot of people might not know what trigger means. So you challenge them on certain things in their life so that helps them move forward. Is that what?
Yeah. So I call it kickstarting. You get them back on track, get them kickstarted again, get the motor going, get the energy flow going again. And when people take themselves out of that space of, let's call it laziness for a generic term, and they start to realize, I can walk 1K a week, I can change my diet and start eating good, healthy, organic food rather than, chips or whatever it is people are eating every day. Comfort food, usually, loneliness food. There's usually a reason why people are on bad diets. And sometimes it is sheer laziness, because the people say, I don't know. I say, well, that's nonsense, because there's so much information out there now, particularly on the internet. I mean, anything you want to know, it's just a click of a button and ask Dr. Google.
Yes.
So there's no excuse anymore with not knowing anything. Okay, we have to be steered in the direction to get the right information. But what we do, we start on that journey, and we start on the journey of research. And an example of that I'll give was 2.5 years ago, I phoned a friend of mine and said, I call him the super coach. And I said, I knew he was into health and well-being. He was going to the gym, he was running half marathons. And just sort of half jokingly, but half serious, I said to my super coach, I want to get a 6-pack in the next 3 months. And I want to lose some body fat. And he had a smile. He said, well, I'm not sure we'll get a 6-pack in 3 months, but we'll certainly get you a 2-pack. We'll work on the 6-pack. So 18 months ago, I was 87 kilos and put myself through 3 months, 12 weeks of cleaning my diet up, watching my kilojoules. I gave up potato chips because I was eating about 1 kilo a week, like 5 200-gram packets a week.
Oh, wow.
So that was my number one give up, because of all the fats and the horrible things in those. And then I started walking and running and gymming. And in 12 weeks, I actually lost 16 kilos of body fat.
Wow.
And since then, I've actually maintained that. And what I've done, I've actually put on another 5 kilo of muscle. And I'm about a steady 75 kilos now. But that was choice, because I was being lazy in my exercise. I was being lazy about allowing myself to look a certain way because I was putting up with it. And I'd see myself on videos and, presenting on stage, and I'd see this little pot belly, and I'm going, I don't like it. I don't like the look of that. But I wasn't doing anything about it. I was being lazy. And then one day I woke up and said, I'm going to change this. I'm going to stop being lazy. I made the phone call, employed a coach, and subsequently, my body's fitter. I'm now running, my 10K run every Wednesday night. I'm swimming in the ocean more often. I can easily sort of do my 10K run because my body's in the swim now, because I made the choice to stop being lazy.
Amazing. And now you're helping other men and women, or just men do the same?
I help men and women. I work in different spaces. So some areas of my work it's just predominantly men. That's with my charity work, which is around about stopping conflict in relationship. So those workshops are predominantly for men, but otherwise, generally with my coaching and counselling, it's for men, women, and couples.
Okay. Yeah.
So I do that space as well.
That's good.
And it really is about bringing that purpose, passion, and joy back into the workplace, the relationship, into life, on all levels.
Fantastic. And so you do one-on-ones and you do groups as well. I think you're doing events at the moment, are you?
Yes, I do. So I do the one-on-one and couples, and then I do events online. I do my webinars, and those webinars for people to jump on and get a taste of what I do and get some insights, get some resources, get some tools to help them to bring purpose, passion, and joy into lives. And then I do run the live group workshops. So I've got one on the Gold Coast coming up soon at the end of the month. And that's for people to come in and immerse themselves for the whole day, jump in, do some exercises, do some communication, do some self-evaluation, because I think that's where it starts.
Yes.
And really ask oneself, where am I right now? Yeah. And where do I want to be in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? Create the vision, then make the plan, and then take the action. So I'm all about vision, plan, and action, because if we don't have the vision, we don't know where we're going. If we don't make the plans, we don't know what we're doing. If we don't take the action, we just stay in our laziness.
Exactly.
I'm all about vision, purpose, action, vision, purpose, action. So when people immerse themselves in a group energy, and I work with them live, we really create something very, very special in the room, and people, get really pumped up in the space, and they take that away with the vision, with their planning, and with their action, and then they can start to implement the changes in their life with some resources, with the tools, and with a plan. I think it's really important.
Wow, fantastic. It sounds exciting. Maybe I should go.
Come along. You're very welcome. Very welcome.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the event? Like, where is it located, or is that a secret? Or
it's not a secret. It's here on the Goldie, near Broadbeach, and the 20 people in the room. I don't like the big groups. I like to have between sort of 10 and 20 in my group, so people get personal attention.
Yes.
And because we do a lot of individual work, a couple, two duo work, we work together, and then we do the group work. There's a real magic in when people work alone, then with a partner, and then with a group, and get that synergy flowing on 3 levels. That's a very magic recipe for me, I find, when I do that in my workshops. So people go off with their inner work, then they share, and then they have the bigger group dynamic as well. And I always bring lots of fun into the workshops as well. Lots of movement, lots of expression. But the main thing is people have a resource and tools to take away to implement that in their daily life. So I've got quite a few tools that either I've learnt or developed, or I've created and developed over the years as well. So a blend of my own work and then other work that I've brought from others, that I've sort of taken the cream off of other people's work and either kept it or adapted it to fit my model. So, I love that space. I love being live with people. I love getting good energy flow and getting people to be in that space to make real change in their life. And a bit like this show, it's raw and it's real. We really get down into the rawness of life. It's
it's great because isn't it fantastic that we just build connections. You and I just met a few months ago, and we've already built a connection, and that's what it's all about, with building connections and having these groups like you're doing, and being in that space of relationship building, connecting with each other, and also connecting with yourself, which is absolutely amazing. Do you have a modality in particular that you use? Not a lot of people know the modalities, but some people might, so I was just going to ask.
Yeah, I do. So just a little bit of a background in terms of my work. You mentioned in the intro that I have an advanced diploma in psychotherapy and counselling. So that's based on holistic model called psychophonetics. Which comes out of the model of the work from the philosopher, the teacher I follow, called Rudolf Steiner. I've been following some people may have heard of the Steiner school system. Biodynamic agriculture came out of Steiner's indications as well. So I've been following the initiatives of Rudolf Steiner for over 30 years. and I started that with biodynamic agriculture.
Mhm.
And then 21 years ago, I started my psychotherapy training in Melbourne,
Mhm.
in the Psychophonetics College.
Yes.
And then I went to Africa for a little while, and I spent some time in Africa as a student. So I was a student in Australia and South Africa.
Wow.
It was a
Yeah.
3-year advanced diploma, and I was there for 4 years. I sort of doubled up on my second year.
Mhm.
So my modality is very much around that holistic, spiritual, humanistic understanding of the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual human. So I do follow that model from that psychotherapeutic process of understanding the dynamics of humans and how we work.
Yes.
So we work with things, for instance, like the temperaments.
Mhm.
We look at the different temperaments of human beings and how they act, how they communicate, how they work,
Yeah.
because we all operate very differently depending on our education, our temperament, if you like, even our karma,
Mm.
of what we're bringing into this life. So we look at it from a very holistic, big picture perspective.
Mm.
So very much outside the normal box.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I love the fact that it's very holistic, and it surprises some people when they start to get those deeper insights to who they truly are as a human being,
Mm.
beyond just that physical, emotional, mental, and open up into that spiritual quantum space as well.
Mm. Mm.
And
Wow.
that space excites me. I love working in that space.
Mm. Yeah, it's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of holistic work, but you just take it to a different level, which is fantastic. And I really haven't met anyone like you that actually does what you do, which is fantastic. So I would love to. We don't have much time left, but I would love you to share a couple of your resources that you have, and you've done 3 books. Is that right?
I have. So,
3 books?
yeah, so my first book, I'll just share, Wendy and the Fairy Ring Secret.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
this is a beautiful little book that I published about 9 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
This was in the making for about a decade, and went through all the challenges of publishing the book, the mental challenges, the emotional challenges. Finally got it published, and it's roughly based on a story of when I was a child.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's a beautiful, beautiful children's book, beautifully illustrated by a friend of
Oh,
mine, Clint. All
yes.
pencil drawings. He's drawn all the illustrations in pencil.
Oh,
And
lovely.
stunning. So that's my children's book, which also is very good for the inner child for adults, by the way.
Okay, that's great. That's
And
good to know. Yeah,
and
yeah.
then I wrote this is the personal development, spiritual development book I wrote. This is I suppose, a guide, a manual for people to help them get back on track in their life and stay on track,
Yeah.
called Where Am I Right Now, Physically, Emotionally, Mentally, Spiritually. I'm currently re-editing and rewriting and republishing this one this year.
Okay.
This is still quite relevant, but the new edition will be even more relevant and up to date.
Yeah.
There's new things have come in the last 6 years, obviously, since I wrote this one, new developments, new ideas,
Mm-hmm.
new experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, the other book was just published in August
Yes.
last year. Was my first ever novel, which is
Mm.
2084, which
Wow.
you might see at the top, 100 years on from George Orwell's 1984,
Mm-hmm.
from Big Brother. I've got 2084, so this is
Wow.
my foray into novel writing, and I've got another 4 novels in the cupboard
Yeah.
that I'm currently working on at the moment. So
Oh.
part of my vision for myself is to become a little bit more of a part-time, maybe even full-time writer.
Oh,
Publish
okay.
many,
Well,
many more books, and enjoy
yeah.
my time on the Gold Coast, body surfing, coaching, and writing. That's my
Yeah.
big vision.
Ideal life, isn't it? What an ideal
Ideal
life.
life, ideal life, and I love writing. It's a huge, big part of my purpose, passion, and joy.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not doing it, it either means 2 things: I'm in my fear, I'm in my doubt, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not in my self-love, or I'm in my laziness.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I try not to be lazy with my writing.
Mm.
Um,
Mm. I love it.
sometimes, yeah,
Yeah, I
sometimes I
love
get to
that
the end
you.
of the week and
Sorry, go
think,
ahead.
sometimes I get to the end of the week and think, oh, I've been a bit lazy this week on my writing, so I make sure that half a day on the weekend is to catch up.
Mm.
So,
Oh, that's
uh,
fantastic. Well, 3 books. I mean, that's very impressive, and a children's book, and that's really great for, as you said, inner child work.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't really realize what inner child work is, and they haven't really dealt with it. Can you explain a little bit before we go on what inner child is, so for people that don't know what that is?
Yeah, so let me give you a little visual on that, perhaps, is what often happens is we have this veneer, we have this persona that we put out into the world, and it's a bit like a Russian doll or a babushka, yeah, and there's an exterior to that, and we operate as if we're in this current time zone of, you know, for myself, say 57 years old.
Yeah.
But what often happens is because we have unresolved issues and traumas and belief systems and habits, we have an internal operator, I call it like the bus driver inside, who will do things depending on the situation we put ourselves in. For instance, if I've had a trauma or a fear of an experience as a child that's traumatized me, if I go back into a similar energy field or an experience as an adult, the subconscious mind and the body will pick that up in the memory bank, either, you know, in the mind or in the body, and remind me that that's not a safe place to be in. So then my old habit or action will be to defend myself so I do not get harmed again. And my behavior in that moment will change to protect me. Yeah. And generally unconsciously, you know, and then I'll come out of that situation safe because I've put something into play. But unfortunately, what happens is sometimes we have behavior that's not conducive to the situation because we've used that behavior to protect that little inner child, because that little inner child doesn't feel safe. So a lot of my therapy work is about going inside that babushka, finding that little doll that usually, you know, of 90% of the time before 10 years old, because that's when most trauma is held in the body and in the body of the child. And we go back in and we rearrange that belief. We put in resources of strength and power or whatever else is needed so that the current, say, 57-year-old Adrian can be present in the situation without being triggered or challenged in that situation. So I become present with my new resource, my new tools to be in place. And usually it means some inner child communication with the inner child to let that inner child know that I'm now in control and you are safe. So there's a sort of a snippet, if you like, of inner child work that I do. It's quite complex. There's lots of other things, but there's a shell and of an understanding there.
That's a good snippet for people that don't know what inner child work is. Us as counselors know, but a lot of people that are not in our line of work don't really know what that is. So that was a great value. Thank you so much for sharing that, Adrian. It has been amazing to have you on today. Thank you so much for coming on. I would really like to ask you one more question, and that is, what would you like the listeners and viewers to know about this podcast? Something to take away for them.
I think in terms of the podcast, what I love about what you do is the name. It's raw and it's real, and you're not afraid to ask the questions, and hopefully the people being interviewed are not afraid to express some rawness and some realness about themselves and their journey, and bring something raw and real for the viewers to take away as a resource. That's what I love about what I was really looking forward to about coming onto this, was I knew I could be raw, I could be real, and just be authentic in the space. So thank you for that invitation, and thank you for providing that container for the viewers and for myself to be raw and real.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I didn't expect you to say that. So I'm very appreciative that you said that. So how can people contact you?
So the most easy way for people to contact me is go directly to my website, which is simply adrianhanks.com.
Fantastic. I'll put all those in the show notes for anyone that wants to contact Adrian. So thank you again, Adrian. It's been a great conversation. Thanks for being on. It's been a pleasure. And this is The Real Deal with Sean Matthews, signing off. And if you'd like to subscribe, click the button below and put down a comment on what you actually thought about this episode. Thanks again, Adrian.
Thank you.